They've invested in me as much as I've invested in them. And I think that goes a long way to talk about, the culture of Empire Flippers and, kind of the ethos and, kind of from the top down. After the financial crisis, I realized that as I was getting older, that that I was going to require income later in life, and that I still had a lot of energy to do things. And I came across through a number of both professional and personal searches, investing in websites. And being in my mid-50s, when I kind of came to this realization, I realized that I wasn't going to be a builder of websites, that I was going to be a buyer of websites. And just to give you some institutional statistics, 90% of all startup businesses fail, and 75% of all funded venture capital deals fail. So finding a profitable website that had a history that could be analyzed was kind of right up my alley. I am still gainfully employed in the corporate world, and I work for a major global bank, and I run a private banking, asset management, and wealth management business for them. And so, you could say that website investing is something that when my wife and I relocated from the US overseas, we decided to tackle together, and we work together. And so I work on the strategy and on the positioning, and my wife, who before this worked in an investment bank, she handles operations. So she manages our customer service team, our developers, and I do things like the overall strategy. I tend to look at the paid traffic and things like that. I think the favorite part about the working online aspect now is interacting with the people that I interact that are also doing this. When I first started out, it was incredibly lonely. The community of people that I've come across and that I get to interact with, that's really satisfying. The relationships that I've built, that's really satisfying to me and incredibly intellectually interesting. I think the hardest thing, I think the hardest thing is the most wonderful thing. Look, you can have conversations, and we had one this morning. We had one, this morning where, probably I was micromanaging. That's kind of my nature. I have 100 people reporting to me in my day job, and when I snap my fingers, people jump. Okay, well, that person is your wife. You maybe probably have to approach it a little bit differently, but it's a wonderful relationship. For her, it's been an amazing opportunity to be involved in all of our kids' activities and not miss a beat, and to be able to work around all that, arrange, her work so that she can do all the kids stuff. So she'll drop the kids off at school in the morning. She'll get a whole bunch of work in. There's activities after school. She can, open up her laptop, whether it's at the rugby pitch or if it's at the ice rink, and get stuff done. You read online every day how people are crushing it, and you're not, and you're struggling. My wife and I, in the first year, we developed this mentality of all these mistakes and things that we missed, that, if it didn't kill us and we survived till tomorrow, we lived to fight another day, lived to play another day. And, after some long period of time, certainly 2015 was when we got involved. So 2016, pretty much all of 2016 was just a war for us. And, you're just, as I mentioned earlier, you're in your head. You don't have support groups. And so, One of the things that I've tried to do is help support other people because I know what it's like, and the relationships and friendships are important to me because it's just a brutal experience to do it, kind of all on your own. I'm a big audiobook and podcast listener, and so I had looked for any of the podcasts that kind of were e-commerce focused. So I am sure that I ultimately dialed into the original Justin and Joe Empire Flippers podcast for sure, and I listened to every one. And so that's how I originally found Empire Flippers, was through the podcast and through the content on the website. Empire Flippers, I think, is known as being the preeminent content site on the website, and give all the credit to them for doing that. They've really taken that to a new level. The reason that I bought an online business was that I believe that if you look at the macro trends, everything is going online. We're involved in physical goods e-commerce, and right now, that world is just exploding. It's being led by Amazon. Amazon is half of all physical goods sales, but the numbers, going forward are, relentlessly positive. And the one thing I've learned in over 36 years of investing is if you position yourself in front of a big trend and you kind of just get it almost half right, you can do incredibly well. Now, if you get it really right, you can just hit the ball out of the park. I think in addition to buying a couple of websites that have changed our lives and will change our lives going forward, putting that aside, I think that the networking that they've provided, I've been to 3 of the 4 at this point, Empire Flippers retreats, and the people that they put together that I've met at those retreats, what I've learned at those retreats, people I've spent time with at those retreats that I keep in touch with, that's been an amazing, kind of an amazing addition to my life. Well, now I'm part of a community of people where people share, and I have friendships with people where I can share, mistakes, struggles, I can support other people. And I think, as I mentioned, in addition to changing my life with the websites I've bought, I think that would be, what I would give Empire Flippers the highest compliment on. As I've also said, I think that the content that they're supplying is so incredibly additive that they richly deserve the success that they've had. And I continue to, think of the guys that I know there, starting with Joe and Justin, and everyone they've added in the last 3 years. I think of them, kind of as part of the family. So there's a learning curve, as there is, kind of in any industry that you might enter. And once you get over that, and once you stumble through it, once you raise your hand and say, hey, what does this mean? Or explain that to me. Once you get your arms around that, and we did. Part of that was I was in my mid-50s, and that there was a tech fear. And part of that was coming up to speed on this lingo and understanding the moving parts. One of the things that I did right, I think that has served me well is that I, compartmentalized the risk. And the first bite that I took, the first investment I made, I really looked at it as being tuition to learning all this stuff. And it was a website that had been operating at the time 7 or 8 years, so it wasn't going to go away, and it was not going to blow up and be ridiculously scalable. On the one hand, on the other hand, it allowed us to kind of learn all of the idiosyncrasies to the extent we could, and some of the moving parts. The content at Empire Flippers, the professionals that you'll deal with, all the way up to the top of the house are there to help you in any way that is possible, including encouraging you not to buy a website if they don't think it's the right fit, because I've seen that happen. They're making their contribution through incredible content, incredible advice, and I think a culture that is, kind of an oddity, a rarity in business today. My experience with Empire Flippers is a 6 stars out of 5, I would say. It might even be higher than that, to be honest with you. I mean, they've invested in me as much as I've invested in them. And I think that goes a long way to talk about, the culture of Empire Flippers and, kind of the ethos and, kind of from the top down, Joe and Justin, what they view their mission to be.